This is a common question in our ministry. There's about 25 million people in America that have a sexual addiction, and which represents roughly 8 to 10% of our population. So it's a big problem, and a lot of people want to know, how do I know if I actually have this problem, if it's such a prevalent thing, if there are so many people saying that it's out there. There are some key things, I think, that separate sexual addiction from, or really any addiction, from other types of things. First of all, there's a compulsive nature to it. It's something that just you feel compelled to have to go be involved in. A lot of times it will also interrupt other healthy activities such as work and family time. You're finding yourself trying to escape into into your addiction, trying to get ways to get out of your healthy interactions into your isolated addiction. There's something else, though, about sexual addiction that's a little bit different, and that is that sexual addiction is something that's a little bit, it's along the lines of food addiction. Because while there's lots of other chemical dependency problems, chemical addictions in which you can literally put down whatever the substance is and walk away, in theory, the thing about sexual addiction is that it's part of your biology. You're a sexual being, and so sometimes that makes it a little more difficult to get help for. Some other things about addiction, though, is that it's always going to threaten relationships. Addictions will always threaten a relationship, whether you're married or whether you're, a brother, a sister, a family member, or whatever. You're going to have, your relationships are going to be damaged by the addiction. And that is because addiction always asks you to isolate yourself from those relationships in order to be involved in it. So even if you're involved with other people in your sexual addiction, the nature of it is to isolate you and get you disconnected from your healthy relationships. One other aspect about sexual addiction is that it has a high rate of depression. So if you're finding yourself in a depressed mood often, if you're finding yourself, it's hard to get out of bed, you sleep all the time, or your mood is just constantly depressed, that can also be an indication that you might be struggling with some sort of porn or sexual addiction. About 75% of sex addicts have a clinical depression, and so that's something else that needs to be considered as part of a possible composite of what can create a sexual addiction.